Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Elisha's Space. I am changing some things around as far as the show is concerned. It will still be available through podcasts, but I'm going to be doing a lot more on YouTube. Just because YouTube has become my jam. I love YouTube and I love the messages that are on YouTube. And I want to add more to the community. So important to me. Today, I want to talk to you about finding purpose in singleness. How do we embrace these seasons of singleness while we're preparing for our own relationship? I have found that, with this topic, that it's extremely important both for our mental health and our faith, when it comes to embracing our present state, knowing where we currently are, and just enjoying the journey along the way. For myself, I have embraced this season and I have really been looking at, what is meaningful to me, what is purposeful to me within this season. You know, we only get so many hours in a day. We only get so much time to spend on certain things. And then once it's gone, it's like a wisp, it's gone. So I find that using energy to embrace things that don't serve us can be a waste of enjoying what's currently there for us. There's a purpose in everything and anything that we embrace, right? There's a purpose in it. So during this time, we'll have a conversation around what singleness can look like and some practical things that we can do to embrace this season. How we can embrace it with our emotions, with our mindset, and as far as our spirituality is concerned, how we can embrace it so that when that time comes to be in a relationship, that time when that comes, then you can embrace it that next season that you're going to be in. So, one of the things I would say is a lot of times when I've spoken with people and we talk about singleness, it's sometimes discussed like it is not a good thing or it's discussed like it's a chore. When in actuality, I think it's something to be honored. I think it's something that, you don't get again. And, you know, I've been in relationships before and I have been in committed, um, uh, I've been married before and I've been single. And I would have to say that when you're single, that's really the time that you can really pour into yourself. Like you can do all those things in those different seasons you're in. But in that season of singleness, it's a blessing because it's kind of a time where you can really just take out time to pour into you. First Corinthians chapter 7, verses 7 through 8 says, I wish, and I'm reading from the New International Version. I wish that all of you were as I am. That's what Paul says. But each of you has your own gift from God. One has this gift, another has that. Now, to the unmarried and the widows, I say, it is good for them to stay unmarried as I do. You see, because when you're single, you can just move according to how you can move. You see, you don't necessarily, it's not a conversation or anything of that nature. You can flow as you would like to flow, per se. And that's the blessing, that's the honorable thing I think that comes with being single. Now, these societal expectations and the cultural stigmas around this, it can be so challenging. And to be quite frank with you, I find it a little insulting to a degree, where people are like, oh, you're single, or, they're looking at you like something is wrong with you when they have a whole mess in their marriage that they're dealing with, or in their relationship that they're dealing with. And you choosing to be single, well, you're choosing to be in something that's healthy and that's nurturing and serving you, you know. So as you move, it also takes this, take this time to really get to know you, what's meaningful to you, what's loving to you, what's caring for you, and what you have the capacity to give to someone else. I think that's extremely important. There's so many expectations, and there's so many cultural expectations around what singleness can look like. When the fact of the matter is, no one can define what singleness looks like except for you, because there's only one you. So your idea of what singleness looks like is going to be different from another person's idea of what singleness can look like, right? So you have to find what is best for you. And taking out that time to love on you, to care for you. You know, do you have a bucket list of things you'd like to do? Create one. If you don't, what are some things that you would like to do? And create that bucket list of things you would like to do. You know, allowing and giving yourself that space to enjoy where you are in this present moment. And in this period of time, I'm big on manifestation, because manifestation to me, it's faith. You know, um, faith is the substance of things hoped for, evidence of things not seen. And so that's from Hebrews 11:1. So when you take out the time to look ahead and say, this is where I want to go, this is where I want to do, and I'm going to take these steps to move in that place. And I see myself in those places. You're affirming and saying, I see myself. I'm going in that direction, right? It can help to frame for you and give you that purpose of what it is you're doing, so that you're going into those steps. So that way, if you run across someone, for instance, if you run across someone who's maybe, and there's nothing wrong with this, if one person has a destination that's different from your destination, then that maybe that person isn't for you. And with you taking out time to love yourself, with you taking out time to care for yourself, with you taking out that time to really getting to know you, like this is a season for you to really get to know you. No one is telling you what you should know about you. No one is telling you what you should believe about you. This is you taking out the time to really get to know you. A lot of times I meet people, and when I sit there with them in a counseling session and I ask them, who are you? Nobody can tell me who they are. Now, they can tell me what they do for a living, and they can tell me what role they fulfill. Like, I am a wife, I am a mother, I am a sister, I am um, an employee, I am an employer, I am a small business owner, I am an entrepreneur, I am all those things. But that does not define who you are. Those are roles you fill. So who are you? What do you like? What don't you like? What is important to you? Are you a kind and compassionate person? And sometimes when I break it down with people, I'll say, how someone say, I am not a kind and a compassionate person. I am a very get to frank, I'm a very frank person. And sometimes I hurt people's feelings, but this is who I am, right? But we don't ever really like a chance to get to know ourselves. And so this is that time period where you can get to know yourself. This is that time period where you can show love and care for yourself. And within that, you can decide or you can learn what is serving you. What are your passions? Why is this or that important to you? Is it that you want to have a closer relationship with God? This is really the time. I'm telling y'all, it's really the time where you can really really hone in on your relationship with God and really grow and develop in that area. You know, I see singleness as a gift, because it gives you that time within this space to really kind of focus and hone in on what is meaningful and true for you. So that way, when something comes around and it's not meaningful to you, you can better define it. If someone tries to get you to do something that is not clear or defining for you, you have a voice, a stronger voice, because you've taken out the time to get to know what works for you. With all the things that have been going on in this present status of where we are in this world, if I had someone approach and say to me that I should be doing more in this area versus doing more in that area. And because I know who I am, I was able to say, no, that doesn't fit me. But if it works for you, I'm happy for you. And then someone else came around and they made a statement and they said, well, if you should want to do what this person wants you to do. And I was like, no, I don't. I don't have to do what that person wants me to do because it doesn't fit what works for me. And I think, and I said it, I was really kind I was really kind when I said it, because I could have said it a whole nother way. Elisha, when she was in her earlier years, I ain't gonna tell y'all how old I am. In my earlier years, it would have been another story. But that, you know, uh, I've been seasoned a little bit, I'll put it like that. But that alone let me know that I was at a much better place than I was a few years ago. Because a few years ago, I think I would have been swayed by that a little bit because I wanted to impress, because I was more of a people pleaser, because I was more of um, I don't want to hurt this person's feelings, so I'll do this type of thing. Now, look, now that I'm the person that I am now, that I am today, there's still a little bit of that, of those other things in me. But because I've taken the time to do the work, I'm good. You know, if you're happy doing this or that, and if I know that this or that doesn't fit me, then it's all right. We ain't got to be the same thing. You can eat your corn chips and I can eat my potato chips and everybody's happy, right? So That is part of that gift of singleness, because if you take the time out to embrace that, right? Then when you come into those times of testing, it's easier to stand and you don't lose you in the process. You see, the most important relationship you will ever have is the relationship that you have with yourself. That's the most important relationship, because you can't pour into others. You can't show love, kindness, grace, and other things to others unless you're at that place where you know who you are. Because if you don't know who you are, then you can become easily swayed. So, how can I embrace this season practically of being single? Well, you know, meditation is a big thing. Taking some time to pray is a big thing. Doing some uh, studies. I mentioned earlier about that bucket list. I think that bucket list is extremely important. And the reason I think that bucket list is extremely important is because now is the season that you can actually probably do some of the things on that bucket list, right? You can do some of the things that are there, because once you get into a real involved relationship with someone, you can't do some of the things that you used to do because you'll be doing things with that person. So if there's some things that you really want to do, then do it now, because you don't know what it's going to be like when you're with your person. And if your person later on says, I like doing those things too, that's great. You just get to do them twice or three times. But at least you did it first. You did it for you first. There's nothing selfish about taking the time out for you, right? And taking the time to cultivate your spirituality, getting to know God, spending that time with Him is so important. And trusting the process along the way is trusting the journey. That is so important. Jeremiah 29:11 says, For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and to bless you and to give you a secure future. And you know what? I was doing that one by memory and then I lost it. So I'm going to make sure that I am saying it correctly, but I'm pretty sure I am. But we'll see. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future. Okay. That verse was spoken over me, a few times in my life. But one of the times it was spoken over me was when I had graduated from college and I was getting ready to move to Atlanta. And I was at church and I was serving in a ministry at this church. And they gave me this luncheon to tell me goodbye and to let me know they were going to miss me and all those nice things. It was actually a really wonderful experience. I really loved and still have some connection to those people. They're beautiful people. When I was given that verse, it was so timely because when I moved to Georgia, I was in my between early and mid 20s at that time. When I moved to Georgia, it was around the time of the Olympics. And there was so much um, that that was in front of me that I never had in front of me before. And that verse carried me through some very difficult and trying times. It gave me hope. So let this verse give you hope in the season of singleness that you're in. You know, taking that time to remember that God does not desire to harm you. He's not going to put you in a position where you're going to experience harm. Another thing that you can do It's just making sure that you're practicing self care and honoring your mental health. Now, how are you going to come to a podcast that talks about mental health and faith and think I'm not going to talk about mental health too? Right. So you're going to go ahead and you explore, as you're exploring what is serving you, identifying what your personal strengths are and addressing them. Perhaps there were some things like unforgiveness, bitterness, anger that you feel that you're needing greater support in. By all means, a support group, talking to a professional. Now is that time to go through your healing journey. Now is that time is for you to show that love for yourself, you know, and you getting to really know who you are. I'll tell you something, when you know who you are, you can't be easily shifted. And I also encourage you to get engaged in communities. Don't isolate, you know, whether it be joining a cause or a ministry that's important to you, a small group, and getting involved with Christian single events. All of those things matter, and all of those things are important. I touched on the mental health piece, and I touched on that piece, uh, and I'm going to touch on that piece a little bit more. And the reason I'm touching on it is you also want to make sure during this time that if there is a past heartbreak, if there is, if someone has broken your heart, I'm sorry that that happened, first of all. But any unresolved baggage that you think could carry on, a lot of times from past relationships, we might have some anger. And it is so important to take a moment to release whatever you needed to release, to work through whatever it is you need to work through. So when the next person comes, he can experience or she can experience the best of you. And you should have that expectation too, that that person will have done the work so that there is no unresolved baggage. I always say that if you don't have some sort of a standard, you'll accept anything. So make sure you have an idea of what you're looking for. Figure out what qualities are most important to you in your in what you and who you are looking for. That being said, we always want to avoid that trap of perfectionism. It's not fair to put it on someone else, and it's not fair to put it on yourself. But you're looking for particular attributes, you know. Uh, you want to see and really pay attention to the types of fruit that person gives, okay, over a period of time. But you want to have an idea of what it is you're looking for, what is important to you. And it's okay to have a standard, to know what's good for you and how to move in that. And taking the time out to just be in a state of meditation and prayer, and then trusting the journey, I think will make all the difference for how you move going forward. So I encourage you to just embrace this time. Embrace it. You're not in a waiting room. You're not, you know, pining away. None of those things. None of those things. Live full. Laugh loud. Be the best of you that you can be, and embrace and enjoy every moment, minute that you have in front of you. Embrace this time of self growth and engage with others that are nourishing and adding benefit to you. One of my favorite scriptures is Proverbs 3 5 and 6. And it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not into your own understanding. I'm going to not try to do it by my memory because I just lost it again. So, but I think I was close, y'all. I think I was close. It's trusting your Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge them. Acknowledge him and he will make your path straight. You know, as long as you're moving forward in a place of humility and a place of just being open to the good that is there. A lot of times we miss that. We'll take time out to look at the lack or what's missing instead of embracing all the good. You know, are you able to eat a meal? That's a good. Are you warm? Are you in a place where you're safe? That's a good. Do you have people that love you? That's a good. There's so much good to embrace. Embrace the good. And then trust the journey along the way. Trust the movement that you're making as you go forward. So, I am going to challenge you to spend that intentional time in prayer, asking God to reveal his purpose for this season in your life. If you like what I'm talking about, please go ahead and subscribe to this channel as there'll be more to discuss. And share your thoughts, questions, testimonies. You can email me too about anything that I'm discussing here. Thank you for tuning in. And I encourage you to reflect on how you can find purpose during this season of singleness that you're experiencing. The next episode, I will keep having conversations about this in the next episode. And if that excites you, then subscribe, follow me on social media. And here is a quote I'd like for you to consider. I always leave with a healing quote. You are not waiting for a relationship to give you purpose. God has already given your life purpose right where you are. Embrace where you are today. Thank you for joining Elisha's Space.